Hold on to something.
It's showtime.
No, wait. I have done everything I've been asked to do. I didn't understand it, but I've done it. And I haven't once asked what's in it for me.
What are you saying, Ray?
I'm saying, what's in it for me?
Raymond, am I using you, Raymond?
This is the Total Sports Experience.
There's gonna be rumors about this. There's no way to stop it.
And now your host,
Ray, are you in here?
Ray Baker.
I miss going 5-hole on you.
You should never be allowed to talk to people.
Dude, that was a hell of an intro. I am honored and I am touched.
I am touched that we've got such a great program. Welcome to the Total Sports Experience. I'm your host, Ray Baker, and we have got a great show. We have got two guys on here that love to talk sports, love to talk football, and both of them are dressed for the occasion as well. Welcome to a Tuesday evening edition of the TSE. A couple of things before we get going that I want to throw out there. One is every episode that we do, we always put in some time for some local businesses. We've done this every episode. Our guys down in the East Coast, Dave Portnoy and Barstool Sports, have been doing this forever. They've been doing such a magical job with it as we bring you out to the live studio here. So one of the things that we do is we can't give the money out that Dave Portnoy does because he gives out millions and millions of dollars. I clearly do not have it. You can see by the posters behind me here in the studio. But this is what we do. So we'll take one every episode. Pick it up. We have an amazing show for you. And before I get into anything else, let me just bring these two guys on real quick. From sportsnetusa.net, if you've listened to any of our podcasts, any of our shows, you know both of these guys. As I hit the magical Zoom button, they will be on your screen right now. Upper left-hand corner is Mark Pavlovich. The bottom is Corey Nayland. Guys, what's up? Thanks for being with me tonight.
Hey, first of all, Ray, I happen to see you have a favorite dish at that sponsor because I saw you the other day at another site. You were down there eating food, promoting them. What was it that you were having for lunch?
Baked salmon, I believe. I think I was having the baked salmon roll. If you're a sushi fan, fantastic. And we were there, I think, earlier in the week, just kind of promoting that and getting it going. So yes, they amazing stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a place to go to.
I'm doing great, man. My team, like your team, Ray, has moved on in the playoffs. Unfortunately, Corey's he's going to claim that he's got a team now because he wishes he owned their old NFL jerseys. Of course, he would look like some strange sort of popsicle if he had one, but, that's it.
Hey, Tampa Bay's still my squad. I still like Tampa.
You
got the quarterback that I'm not a big fan of, but the team, I got to root for my team. I don't think they'll win, but, we go from there. And my mama's favorite player is still in it, so we'll root for them, too, in KC.
So I threw it up on the screen. I know you guys can't see it, but all the visitors and the listeners at home can see it as we look at this. The four teams remaining, the AFC's, the Buffalo Bills, who, if you've followed our program at all, you know that I was over the moon as we beat Baltimore on Saturday. Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs on the AFC side, and then we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady and Mark, your Green Bay Packers. Look, as we break this down, first of all, what an amazing weekend of football we had with all four games that went through. Buffalo taking care of Baltimore, which 17-3, but let's face it, that game was tied at halftime 3-3. And I think Buffalo has done this throughout the season as they kind of slow play things. They try to figure things out, and in the second half they destroy it, and that's exactly what they did. Lamar Jackson did not look like he was as comfortable as he normally is. Was that the case, Corey? Was he just not in? He couldn't figure things out the second half against that Buffalo defense?
I don't know if it was a hangover from last week's win when they were worried about the playoffs, and he said he had to win a playoff game and he had to do this to get to the next level. They won that playoff game against Tennessee, and they came against Buffalo, and I just didn't see the same fire out of the Baltimore Ravens team. That first drive, I think they ran 8 straight runs, got it down to like the 25-yard line of Buffalo, and I didn't see that type of offense again in the game. Yeah, they missed 2 field goals that, could have swung momentum their way, but Lamar didn't look the same. The coaching staff, I don't know what was up with them. Buffalo, they played a heck of a game, but I don't think they did really anything to dissuade Baltimore from moving the ball. They just couldn't execute, and a lot of that falls on Lamar. A lot of that falls on the strategy of coaching for the Ravens as well. If they didn't want to open it up or not, I just didn't see that same fire from the Ravens.
Mark, look, I'm a Buffalo fan, so I'm already going to tell you Buffalo, but it looked to me that Buffalo already had it dialed in, but again, they waited and they kind of looked for the chance that they could take, because the first half, I'm going to be honest with you, the first half was boring, 3-3.
The whole game was boring. I thought that was the most boring game of the week. I'm sorry. There was no excitement in that game. I didn't watch half of it because it was boring. You knew Buffalo was going to win after the first field goal was missed by Justin Tucker. Buffalo, they should have, if they were really on it, game would have been 48-3. They played scared. They played hesitant. They played like they didn't want to lose the game. Luckily for them, the other team played like they didn't want to lose a game, and a little bit worse. So Buffalo, yeah, they played well enough to win. I just don't think it was their best game of the season, and I surely don't think it was a good, fun game.
Hey, guys, let's be realistic. At this stage with all these games, and it's already I've read some of the things about the upcoming games, and the people I've talked to at my little part-time job, when they all ask me about the Packers, I honestly agree with, and I hate to say this, with the experts, but it comes down to these games now where mistakes are magnified. If you don't get a clean pickoff on the ball in the end zone and go 101 yards for a touchdown, it's a different football game. Let's say he still makes the interception a little deeper in the end zone and decides to put the knee down. Does the outcome end up being what it is now? I still say it's up. No, I'm going to say it's still up in the air. A turnover with no points is not as devastating as a turnover with points. And Ray Baker, as a fan, when you see your team intercept the ball in another end zone and go 101 yards for the touchdown, I've got to believe Ray Baker sat there and said, this game is ours. And Ray, if I'm wrong, okay, but I know if it was a Packer game, I'd believe the game was over for the Packers.
Well, it's a 14-point swing because you throw that ball into the end zone instead of a Baltimore touchdown, you run it back. And look, I'll be the first to tell you, I was ready for him to kneel down. And when he kept running and then kept running, I'm like, well, okay, well, don't slow down now. Keep going. But again, a 14-point swing in that game where the difference in the game was only 14 points. Mark, to your point, look, if he downs it and Buffalo gets it at the 20-yard line, do they drive and score that next touchdown? Boy, that's hard. I think that was a dagger in that game to run that all the way back. So, it put a lot of doubt in people's minds of Buffalo going into Kansas City now. So that's going to be a big one. But let's touch on that one now for a second as we move over to Sunday's AFC game. Cleveland Browns, Kansas City Chiefs. Let me just start by asking this, because I got inundated with stuff about it's the 34-year anniversary of Ernest Biner and the fumble in Cleveland. But I'm going to tell you right now, there should have been a flag thrown for an illegal hit on Sorensen of the Kansas City Chiefs on that fumble. The rule is the rule. If you fumble in the end zone, through the end zone, it's a touchback. That's not the problem I had with the play. That rule has been in there forever. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay with a helmet-to-helmet hit as this guy is stretching for a pylon, which any player would have done, by the way. Any player would have done stretching for the pylon. There should have been a flag. Corey, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I mean, it was helmet to helmet. I think I was expecting a flag to be thrown because of that. I don't think there were too many egregious flags thrown in that game. There were a few helmet-to-helmet hits we saw in that game, but I don't think it was anything significant other than that Sorensen hit that should have drawn a flag. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, Cleveland had every opportunity, even though you knew they weren't going to come back and win that game. They had every opportunity to seem like people to win that, but no, they weren't going to win that. Even if they had scored a touchdown, there was no way Cleveland was winning that game. Not yet. They're a team that's a year or two away, and even Chad Henne, he was still going to move them down. He was still going to have some type of game, and it's still going to be Kansas City Buffalo.
But Mark, I was actually one of the guys that when Chad Henne came in, I went, uh-oh. There's Houston, we have a problem. Chad Henne came in cold and put Kansas City in the AFC Championship game.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's amazing you two are still talking about this game because you're both wrong about the hit. There shouldn't have been a flag on that because if you watch the angle of the defensive player, he's going down low. The gentleman dives for the end zone. And so it incidentally becomes helmet to helmet because if you're looking for a flag on that one, then you could look for a flag with Mahomes who
No, you're wrong on
that.
that.
Wait.
On that one, no. On that one, no.
Gets grabbed around the throat, and no, I'm just saying you could. I didn't say I would. You could have the way they protect quarterbacks.
No, they couldn't have. He was running. He was out of the pocket. The Sorensen one, yeah, I can see the angles and how he was working that. I can see that, but no, not on the Mahomes one. Yeah, I can see how it wouldn't have been called, but I still think you call it in today's days and times.
Well, let me ask this, though. Mark, if you're in the NCAA, if we're in a bowl game, and that hit that Sorensen throws on the receiver for Cleveland, is that a targeting hit if we're in the NCAA?
Yeah, but I think the NCAA is created rules to become overly protective of players. The NFL does not go with the rules. I mean, let's be very realistic. You'll see if that same hit happens this weekend, depending what game and who you're rooting for, you may see a flag of who's ever out there calling games. I mean, guys, let's be realistic. There's offensive holding going on right and left. And I really do believe that people try to say to the officials, hey, let's not have a game decided like the Rams when they made it to the Super Bowl on a call or a non-call. So I think if you're officials, you get gun shy on making certain calls. Personally, I would not have thrown a flag on that hit down in the end zone because we see guys get all the time. The gentleman fumbles the football. It goes inadvertently through the end zone in a touchback. And to go back to your original statement, Ray, when Henne comes in there, I think what it does is it just shows you the brilliance of Andy Reid as a coach out there for a football team. You didn't see Andy Reid all of a sudden say, okay, let's wind it in. Let's run it on this play. Let's run it on this play. Let's not lose it. I mean, when the interception was thrown by Henne, I just sort of went to myself where the announcers are going, and this again. Tony Romo, quit second-guessing people. He threw that to the end zone. Gee, Tony Romo, you called him great at the end of the game. He threw the ball.
Well, and look, let me ask you this, Mark. When they line up for the last play that is a short screen pass there, or not a screen pass, but a short dump off there to Hill, I was not expecting a play at all. It's 4th and 1. Yeah, you need 1 yard. I'm ready for everybody to get to the line, and he's going to go through his cadence, and he's going to get somebody to jump, and there's your first free down, game's over, right? Which is we've seen forever. Andy Reid dials up something where Chad Henne's standing in the gun, ready to throw the football. let's be honest. Did you think they were going to run a play there to pass the ball at all to anybody?
I didn't know if they'd necessarily throw it, but I did think they'd run a play for the simple reason you look at the lineage of an Andy Reid and where he came from. And, I'm going to get my team in here every way I can. A man that coached in Green Bay, a man that listened to a legend where the Packers win the Ice Bowl. Let's go. Because, when you listen to Andy Reid.
That's about how far you have to go to the Ice Bowl. When you talk about the lineage of Green Bay and going for it. Because in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s, they didn't have that. But okay, go ahead, Mark.
No, but if you listen to what Andy Reid said to the rest of the coaches, it was, and Corey, you've said it more than once when we watch games. Hey, why go into overtime with anything else? Go out and win the football game. It was fourth and how many inches, guys? If you're supposedly the defending Super Bowl champions, the best team in football, guess what you do? You go out and say to everybody else, hey, even with our backup, you can't stop us. And I think it was a daring call. It's really, say right now, a great call because they won. And if you're a Kansas City fan and they don't make it, you're pulling your hair out because you're saying, oh, my. But you know what? When you listen to him up there and when all the coaches basically would pull a Corey Nalen and say, go out and win the football. Hey, let's go out and win it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go out and win it. Yeah, let's do it.
I like the swagger, right? Mark, you mentioned it. I love the swagger. Andy Reid says, you're not going to beat us, even with our backup quarterback. Go ahead, try it. We're still gonna beat you. I think I dig that kind of just straight up in your face kind of. You know what? Here's our best game. Good luck.
Yeah. I don't even think it came down to that. I don't think there was any doubt in my mind or anyone else's mind that they were going to go for it. I don't even think it was a great play call or a great decision. I think it was simply the right decision to go for it in that situation. Ray, it's funny because in these situations, I always go back to the game we did at San Mateo versus Fullerton College for a state championship a few years ago.
Yeah.
And San Mateo had the ball. I think it was on their own 40-yard line or so, 30-yard line or something.
30-yard line.
30-yard line. They've been running, averaging 5 yards a carry. And it's 4th and 1.5. And they don't go for it. If they go for it, they win the game because there was no way Fullerton was going to stop them. They kick it away, punt return and runs it back to the 1-yard line. Fullerton scores, win the state title. Always go for it, no matter where you're at. Win the game instead of playing it safe. And actually, that's what happened to Baltimore.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? I think that's, again, Mark, you mentioned something. If we make the decision and you get it, the decision's great. If you make the decision and you don't get it, all of the fans look like you and me. We're bald, right? I get it. I think Kevin Stefanski made that mistake against this Kansas City team with about 5 minutes left. You've got 4th and 9, okay? Long one. But you're at that point, you've got 5 minutes left. That's a 4-down territory anyway. You should not have punted that ball away back to Kansas City with the hopes of you're going to get it back. Mahomes or not. You should never have punted that ball away. I think that's where Cleveland lost the game, is they punted on 4th and 9 with about 5.5, 6 minutes left in the game. There was your ball game. And again, with, you say if you go for it, you didn't get it, you give Kansas City the ball at midfield. You're giving them the ball anyway. What does it matter?
Well, I think Cleveland, and Ray, when you talk about surprising plays, that was the most surprising play to me. I mean, I'm not a Baker Mayfield fan, but Baker Mayfield, if he gets in trouble, can take off running. It's not like he's slow and lethargic like the three of us in this screen. He can get down the field. And the surprising thing was for me, you already had a miracle season if you're the Cleveland Browns. You beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, the bullies in your division. You got to someplace. Guess what? If you're coach of the year material, you go for it. If you don't make it, you don't hang your head. You go, you know what? We had a great run. We thought we could beat them because we knew if we scored, they weren't going to come with a backup quarterback. I thought he had everything to win and nothing to lose if he went for it there. If they make it, I think Cleveland wins the football game. But if they don't, at least the fans go, hey, I can't wait till next year.
Got a lot to build on. Let's look at the other side now real quick because your Sunday game, again, all 4 games were a lot of fun, right? This is why I love doing it. I love when the 3 of us are in the studio because you'd already been saying something right now instead of just shaking your head. But that's why we do it visually as well. I enjoyed all 4 games personally. One of the games that I deemed the AARP game, the AARP Bowl, Tom Brady wins. Let's come back to that in a second because I'm going to touch on the Green Bay Packers now, Mark. I will say if you want to, Corey, if you want to pick out one game that wasn't very fun, that's the one. Packers-Rams. We do broadcast here from Los Angeles, so we should be Rams, apologist. I am not. The Rams right now, I'm going to just put it out there, are a mess. Okay? They need some help. They need help through draft. There's a lot of things that we could put down on them. But the Packers, to me, had an easy road in that game. The Rams were not going to win. Mark, I'll start with you because they can't see it, but you currently have your Green Bay Packers swag on. I love it. For 2 questions. Is this a year for the Packers? And is Aaron Rodgers your MVP?
Yeah, I picked A-Rod as my MVP. Corey will tell you, Aaron Rodgers gives me a mental breakdown every week because if you saw it in the Ram game, hey, guys, 3rd quarter, Aaron Rodgers, 21 yards. He'll always have a bad quarter. I think the thing with the Green Bay Packers, and I really do, I think what the Packers had this year was a good team chemistry with a lot, and Corey and I have talked off the air about this, with a lot of good role players. They were talking to some ex-Packer receivers today about, well, you weren't a superstar when you played. And I think Corey and I have talked about this. When you look at the Green Bay Packers, yeah, you've got Devontae. Special man as a receiver, no doubt about it. But then if you put the other receivers out there, Lazard is Corey Nealon fast, meaning that you'll look at Corey Nealon making a move or something on it, and you'll say, oh, he throws a block, he does this, but I'm not worried about Corey out running me. But you give Corey 5 steps in front of you, you're not going to catch him. That's Alan Lazard. You've got a speed burner with MBS. He can get down the field bigger than anything. Brown's the mystery receiver. He could be the guy that beats the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because you don't see much about him right now. And then you have tight ends that can block and tight ends that can get open. And then an offensive line that has been piecemealed together because of so many injuries. It's been a good cohesive unit with a quarterback that, even though he said he was just enjoying the year, sort of looks youthful this year. And maybe, in my opinion, hey, if I win 26 football games and I don't even get mentioned as coach of the year and say it doesn't bother me, if I was on his staff, I'd be out there saying, excuse me, win 26 games. If this was Bill Belichick, everybody would be telling me how great he is.
Agreed.
But everybody says, oh, Matt LaFleur has Aaron Rodgers. Well, Mike McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers the year he got fired.
Agreed.
You're only as good as a coach and a player get together and how they can execute a scheme. So I think it's a magical year. If the guy beats him that he's playing against, I'm going to have to call up my son and talk him off a ledge because there's too many people that would just have a fit. I think Tampa Bay's an excellent football team. I think they've got an excellent defense. And when you're playing against the player that some people think is the greatest of all time, who has weapons around him, I think Green Bay needs to play almost a perfect game. And let's give the Rams, before I go, let's give the Rams a little break here. The best defensive football player in the NFL, no doubt about it, was hurt. I'm not going to badmouth my offensive line. They did an excellent job against a three-quarter player. But when you're that good and all of a sudden you become three quarters, not full speed, it's going to help that offensive line playing against you, and that hurt the Rams.
Two questions, Corey, before you get going, because I saw you shaking your head, and I love it, because that means the wheels are turning. Two things.
Old wheels.
Aaron Donald, not healthy. Let's face it, not 100%. If it's 100% Aaron Donald, I think Mark has a point. This game is different. The other thing is, it almost, Mark, you mentioned in the third quarter, I think he had 21 or 24 yards. I think Aaron Rodgers, and this is going to sound odd, I think he gets bored. Because if you look at the touchdown pass he threw towards the end of the game, he just kind of flicked it out there like he's playing backyard football kind of thing. I think he gets bored until he finds something, and then it pops over the middle and just goes, yeah, okay. I mean, it's just so matter of fact with him. Corey, if Aaron Donald is 100%, is this a different game?
Yes. Yes, it is. If Aaron Donald's 100%, Green Bay scores 40 points instead of 30 points. I think Green Bay would have a sense of urgency, more, let's say we got to do this because we have Aaron Donald at full strength coming towards Aaron Rodgers and the rest of the guys. We have to be more on point offensively because Aaron Donald is healthy and we can't make a mistake. And he can take the game over by himself and win a game.
Yeah.
That urgency wasn't there because Aaron Donald was only at 40%. He wasn't effective. That lackadaisical play Aaron Rodgers had in the third quarter, yeah, it's there because there was no way an injured, broke thumb Jared Goff was going to lead that Rams offense to victory. Wasn't going to happen. They were down a receiver. It just wasn't in the cards for the Rams. They weren't that good to begin with, but with their two best players, arguably with Goff as their second best player injured, they weren't going to win it. And Green Bay, you've seen them all season long be on point and focus. If they were focused, they score 40 to 50 points against the Rams, and it's a blowout. It's not even close.
Before we get to the last game real quick, Mark, go ahead.
Well, and I have to say this before we move on.
Okay.
Being a Packer fan, and Ray Baker and I have done a lot of games together. And so I'm going to give the man on the main screen here a lot of credit because during draft day and when A-Rod dropped down the list and down the list and down the list, finally gets taken by the Packers. On draft day, when he gets taken, I get a call from Ray Baker who says to me, your future in Green Bay has just been solidified because when Brett Favre leaves, they're not going to skip a beat. Aaron Rodgers is going to take over. You've got quarterbacks for the next 30 to 40 years in Green Bay. Ray, I will always remember that no matter where you are because you laid it on the line. You just told me point blank, my brother, your team is covered for 40 years at quarterback, and if they lose, it's not going to be because of the quarterback. It's because of something else. Ray Baker, I got to ask you, what did you see in Aaron Rodgers when that draft ended to have enough guts to look at a Packer fan and say you're covered for the next 40 years?
The swagger. And here's what I mean by that. Great quarterback at Cal, okay? And Goff is a Cal guy as well, and they shared some stuff. But when as he's getting passed up, and you can go look at this, go watch it on YouTube or go on ESPN and watch the draft day when Aaron Rodgers gets drafted, and as he's falling pick to pick, and look at some of the guys that were picked before him. Really? Okay? Aaron Rodgers, first ballot Hall of Famer. I think all three of us agree in that. But as he's dropping, it's not a panic. It's not a what's going on? It's you can see the wheels in his head turning, thinking, go ahead and pass me, but because whoever snags me at this point, I'm gonna torch everybody. And it's just that swagger that he had. And you can't. That's not. Look, the three of us have been set in rooms all the
interrupt
time.
you real quick.
Go ahead.
Right. You seen Training Day?
Oh yeah.
You know Denzel's line when he gets shot in the butt. That was Aaron Rodgers every single.
Yeah.
Yeah, his response.
His response was it. And
yeah.
Again, the three of us have sat in rooms and talked about this all the time. There are certain things. Can I show you how to throw a football? Can I show you how to run out of the pocket? Can I show you how to stand in the pocket? But there are certain things on certain players, and this is good for any sport, by the way, that there are intangibles that you cannot teach a kid at any level. Aaron Rodgers had those gifts and those intangibles even when he was at Cal. He was fearless, and he's got this swagger. He knows he's better than everybody else. But is he going to go out and say it? No. He's just going to torch it for 4, 5, 6 touchdowns every Sunday. That's what he brought to the draft. And again, when the Packers drafted him and he got to sit behind Brett Favre, I go, oh, this is not even fair. So, and to your credit, Matt LaFleur, my man won a lottery ticket. Yeah, he's coaching the rest of the team, but the guy's got one of the, we've already discussed this in previous ones, right? He's got probably one of the top 5 or top 10 quarterbacks of all time. So
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Let me, I just want to show this slide real quick. You guys on Zoom can't see it, but all of you at home can see it. We're on location this weekend. Saturday, we're at Mountain Mike's Pizza in Fountain Valley, California, for Saturday from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. Those are all of the prelims. These are all the lead-ups to the prelims for UFC 257. Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier. We're going to cover all of that. We're going to have the jiu-jitsu guys on from Florida. We're going to have the training coaches from the Vegas gyms on with us as well. So 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And then on Sunday, we're going to get you prepared and ready for both games. We're going to be there from noon to 1:30. Again, Mountain Mike's Pizza in Fountain Valley. You can come see us. And if you order a large pizza, any large pizza, and you mention us, you get a free 10-inch cheese sticks on the TSE program. So there you go.
McGregor wins that one.
Conor McGregor. This is gonna be a great fight too. I just can't wait for that one. Let's go down to the AARP Bowl for a second. Mark mentioned it. Tom Brady. Is Tom Brady the best ever? Look, I think he might be the best quarterback ever. And I hate saying that because he was in Buffalo for years, and the first year he left, we win the division. Hello, okay. Here's what I took away from the Tampa Bay New Orleans game. As much as I respect Tom Brady and his game and how nice of a guy he is and what he's doing for football, unfortunately, I think we've seen the last game of another first ballot Hall of Famer in Drew Brees. And I hate saying that because of what he's done for the city and what he's done for football, and he's just an overall nice guy. I think he's done. And I tell you this because as he's leaving the game, he's shaking hands with everybody. Just before he enters the tunnel, he looks over his left shoulder to get one more glimpse of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome as he leaves. Corey, have we seen the last snap from Drew Brees?
Yes, and good. That's a good thing because as great as Drew Brees has been, oh man, Mark's got a stronger arm right now.
Yes.
By about 10 yards. Yes. I've got a strong arm by about 15 yards. It was sad to see the second most boring game this weekend because you knew New Orleans wasn't going to win when Tampa Bay stayed close, only because they can't stretch the field. If you can't throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field, you can't win the game against a team that is going to stay close and have arguably the greatest quarterback ever. And you knew they were going to score a couple more times. New Orleans couldn't hang with more than 20 points. And it was apparent against a good defense. As great as Drew Brees has been, it just wasn't in the cards. And, he gets mad respect for playing through the injuries this year, for being that guy who was too short to play, too slow to play. You got a title. You got records. man, hang it up, go to the Hall of Fame in 5 years, do your thing. You're going to go into the broadcast booth. But yeah, it just wasn't going to happen for New Orleans. Plus, you can't be. You're not going to beat a team three straight in a season of that caliber.
No, and Mark, when we look at the other side, I don't think Tom Brady has the caliber of weapons he did in New England. And when I say that, I mean I mean that as well. Yeah, but he's got Gronk, but Gronk is not the same as what he was there in New England. I think on the wideouts, you probably have a little bit better talent, although you had some guys that came through New England through the years that were automatic. I mean, never dropped a pass, always went through the middle. Just were, again, automatic guys on completions at one point. Does Tampa have enough, and I'm saying offensively, because Corey, you mentioned, if there's urgency with the Green Bay Packers, they're going to score 48, 50 points. They can dump 50 points on anybody in the NFL. If the Tampa Bay Buccaneers keep it that way and they keep pushing, do they have enough offensively to hang with Aaron Rodgers in the offense of Green Bay?
Yeah, I think they do. And I'm going to go back to what Donald Driver said about Brett Favre when, Brett Favre thanked Donald Driver when he made it into the Hall of Fame. And Donald brought up the fact that great quarterbacks may not have the greatest receivers in the world, but they got a lot of good receivers to be as great as they are. Like Donald Driver said, hey, somebody can run as fast as they can, but if they can't catch the football, doesn't matter how fast they are. Somebody can sit there and work to get open all the time, but if you can't find the right place to be at, you're not going to win games. So, yes, for Tampa Bay to have the year that they've had this year, besides having an outstanding defense, they've had receivers just like Tom Brady, who the press has given all this love to and said every year, boy, if the guy only had talent in New England, if the guy only had talent in New England, oh my goodness, could you imagine? Excuse me, guys. He didn't throw the ball and go down and catch it by himself. He threw it to people that got open. I think the big question in the Green Bay Packer game is because the Green Bay Packers have a three-headed monster at running back. Realize the Tampa Bay Buccaneers only give up 89.5 yards on the ground a game. That's their average. If the Green Bay Packers can rush for 198 yards and continue, because
did you say 198?
That's what they rushed against with the Rams.
Hold on, I'm looking for my calculator. Hold on, keep
109.
going.
No. If they rush for over 100, I'll give them that. They win the game.
Which would be their seventh consecutive over 100-yard game. Realize this: the Packers in their last 6 games have averaged 150 yards on the ground. And Corey, I'd like to see 198 because then they would win the game. But I'm with you. If they can do 120, then Aaron Rodgers is going to fake it to one of those running backs, and you're going to find Scantling either going down the middle of the field or Lazard, or because it came close, Devontae Adams twice almost got away. If there's that 10-yard pass, the Packers win by 21.
Corey, listen,
if they can't run Ray Baker, it's going to be and I am going to say this.
It's all on the defense, Mark.
Yeah, and Corey, I knew you were going to bring up my Achilles heel of my team, but the defenses look better week after week.
Well, but Corey, look, we both kind of giggled when he said this. If the Green Bay Packers even run for, let's call it $120, this game's over. If they can put up 120 to 130 yards on the ground, this game's over. And here's why. If you get Aaron Jones and those guys rolling downhill, it's not going to be the running game, Mark, that wins this for you. It's not. The 130 yards of offense may get you a touchdown, may even get you 2. That's not what this is going to set up. You're going to set up one of the best play-action guys ever to torch a Tampa Bay secondary, right? Because you have to worry about Aaron Jones. You have to worry about anybody else running the football for 130 yards. And then you're going to stack that box. And when you do, you guys have seen what Aaron Rodgers does to single coverage or high zone or a cover zero. It doesn't matter. He's going to find an open guy. Trust me, if it's 130 yards of rushing, Devontae Smith's going to have 3 or 4 touchdowns. Guaranteed.
Yeah,
Is that a new receiver on our team?
Devontae
Adams. Devontae Smith maybe go there too. Who knows? Devontae Smith out of Alabama has not been drafted yet, but we'll see. But Devontae Adams will have 3 or 4 touchdowns, almost guaranteed, if you let that running game run that wild.
And here's why Tampa Bay would win the game. If their running backs can catch a football, like James White, like Kevin Falk, and when Tom Brady had him in New England,
but they don't.
Yeah, if they can catch the ball, if Leonard Fournette can find some hands, if Ronald Jones can find some hands and catch the ball out of the backfield, they will win the game. Because as much as Mike Evans goes down the field, as much as Antonio Brown, who may not play, goes down the field, and Chris Godwin goes down the field, if the running backs can catch the ball out of the backfield, Tom Brady and that offense will eat you alive, because that defense is going to play. But if they get good out of the running game for Tampa Bay side, catching the ball, they would win.
And look, one of the best check down quarterbacks is Tom Brady. Does he want to throw it down? Yeah, but Corey, we mentioned already, he's kind of in the Drew Brees category where he's not throwing it 60 yards downfield anymore. So he wants the check down. He wants that 2 or 3 or 4 yard pass to Leonard Fournette. Now, if Leonard Fournette can find somebody that he can trade his frying pans in for and get some gloves on his hands, my man will be dangerous. But he's got to learn how to catch a football thrown to him from 3. That's amazing. It's like Shaq. Right? It's just unbelievable. But we'll see. All right, let's break this down because we have about 15 minutes left. We'll start with the NFC because we're there. I don't even need to ask Pav on who he thinks is going to win. Because he's wearing the sweatshirt already. But Pav, I'll ask you.
Touchdown!
I'll ask you first, Pav. Tampa Bay, Green Bay, NFC Championship. And by the way, this stat shocked me. First time in the Aaron Rodgers era, they're hosting the NFC Championship game. There's not many fans in the stands, Mark, but you know very well what it's like in Lambeau in January to play a football game. Is that the biggest contribution to this Aaron Rodgers win, is that you're actually at home for this?
Oh, yeah. And realize when you think 10 years ago, thank you, Brett Favre, for letting the New York Giants and Eli Manning beat you so that Eli could win 2 Super Bowls, and I have to watch him in commercials now. Thank you. Shame on you, Brett Favre.
I see you've made your peace with it, too. Good job. All right.
Yeah. But I think, it's going to be an advantage. It's going to be 21 degrees. There is now a 65% chance of snow, which is an advantage to Green Bay because their running backs can run in it. And, Corey, when you talk about catching a football, they were talking about that this morning, and somebody said, no matter how you think about it, Brady played in New England. They said, it doesn't really matter. When you step off the plane, you forgot how cold felt. And so I think it's an advantage, Green Bay. If there's no turnovers, I'll agree with Corey Nalen. I think the Packers roll. If there's turnovers, I think it's going to be a 3-point football game that gets won by Mason Crosby and the Green Bay Packers. And Mason Crosby cements his legendary status in Green Bay.
Corey, the line opened up at 3.5. I don't know that it's changed since, but look, even Vegas has got this as a close game. Do you have it the same way? And who's going to come out of Green Bay and head to Tampa for the Super Bowl?
Either team will win by 5. I don't think it'll be within that 3. I think either team will win by 5 to 7 by a touchdown. I think it'll be a competitive game. It'll be a good game. Mark and I have talked all year about who's going to the Super Bowl. And Green Bay Packers were one of my top 2 picks from the NFC all season. Tampa Bay was not. So to be contrary at this point in time, I'll go against what I've picked all season long is Green Bay as one of my picks. I'm going to go Tampa Bay because that's my team. I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan all my life. I love Tampa Bay. I want them to do well. I can't stand Tom Brady as a quarterback. But since he's on my team, I got to go with my team because now that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time, because he's on my team, they're going to the Super Bowl.
So let's look at the AFC for a second because I said, and I have this on a recording on a podcast, the two teams that will meet in the Super Bowl are the Buffalo Bills and the Green Bay Packers, and I am 1 week away from that happening. But that being said, Buffalo has got a big hurdle to climb. And somebody told me, and Mark, I thought about you when they said this. They said, well, yeah, but Buffalo, it's really cold in Kansas City, and Buffalo's got to go to Kansas City. I don't know if you've ever seen a playoff game in January in Buffalo. In fact, I said this on the live shows a week ago. The weather in Buffalo sucks in January, okay? There's not, other than Lambeau Field, I don't know that there's another stadium that I never want to go to play a football game other than Orchard Park, New York, right? So they're going to KC. This is a heat wave for the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen are going to love this. I think the biggest question mark, and we looked at it today, he's still in concussion protocol. But the biggest question mark, I think, for the Kansas City Chiefs is, will he be okay in that of Patrick Mahomes? If he's out, look, does he want to play? Who doesn't? It's the AFC Championship game. It's your second year in a row. He wants to play, but if they don't clear him to play, and you have to rely on Chad Henne, Corey, I'll start with you. I don't think that offense with Chad Henne stands a chance against that Buffalo secondary.
And here's the pick of the weekend. If Patrick Mahomes plays, it's going to be a blowout. Kansas City will blow out Buffalo.
You are killing me. Why did I have you on the program today?
It gets better.
Oh, okay.
If Chad Henne has to play, Kansas City wins by a field goal.
Oh my! What are you?
I don't see Buffalo winning this game in any way, fashion, or form. I just don't see it. And I like Josh Allen. I like everything about Buffalo.
Except
Kansas City. except the if they had to beat Baltimore more convincingly for me, if they hadn't played a little bit less of themselves against Baltimore, I think their defense stepped up big time, which we haven't seen all season really from them play that good of a game. Mm-hmm. But I just think there's something off about Buffalo that's not going to propel them. Josh Allen's been terrific all season long. Unfortunately, this might be his worst time as he throws 2 picks on Sunday and Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl.
Mark, I'm not sure why I agreed to have Corey on the program tonight or moving forward for that matter. I almost hate to ask because if I paint Mark as the savior for me and he picks Kansas City, my night's ruined. But Pav, is he right? Look, a blowout against that Buffalo defense is very hard for me to stomach at this point.
Well, first of all, let me just say, because Corey had Tampa Bay and close to Green Bay Packers, I hope you can never find orange juice again. And I hope you have a great time drinking Tang all the time when you go to breakfast. Every time we go to breakfast with each other, I'm just going to say, he'll take Tang, and that's cool. Ray Baker, this is where your quarterback shows to everybody that he has matured in the thing. And this is really where you make your names. Do you need to win 12 Super Bowls? No, you only need to win 1. And if you win 2, that makes you even more special. And if you're always there every year, like Jim Kelly was, then you're going to be somebody that's going to be immortalized in Buffalo. Josh Allen explodes against Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is about as runny as ice cream on a 90-degree day. Kansas City's got no defense.
Didn't say they did.
Buffalo does. Buffalo does. And yes, I agree with a lot of the experts. You don't win with great defense. You win with good defense and an explosive offense. So I'll give Buffalo a good defense. And Josh Allen, who played against Baltimore, and I think the jitters were there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at home. I got to win, because if I don't, my entire season means nothing. Now comes the game that, hey, if they lose, they're supposed to. That isn't how you think. You know what? We can light up Kansas City, and if Henny comes out there, it's no game. Buffalo is done at halftime. And if Patrick's out there, this game ends up being 42-38 in that range. The over-under for me is going to be 80, and I'm giving it to Buffalo.
80. Good heavens.
Wow. That's my over-under.
Let me
That's
just
if Patrick's healthy and out there.
Right. Let me ask you this. As I look at this in the favors in the last few minutes here, is there more pressure on Green Bay to win that game than Tampa? And then on the other side, is there more pressure on Kansas City to win at home to go to a second straight Super Bowl than there is Buffalo to help restart that dynasty in Buffalo?
There's more pressure on Green Bay than there is on Tampa, but there is Tampa Bay does have pressure on it because Tampa Bay basically sold the future to win now. Yeah. And so they need to win now. They need to make it to the Super Bowl. They don't win the Super Bowl, that's cool, but they need to make it to the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers, even though his legend is locked in stone, if he wins another Super Bowl, it's no longer Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers, Bart Starr, Brett Favre in Green Bay. As far as the flip side, I really do think that if Andy Reid's team doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, and I've said this to Corey, I'm a Mahomes fan, but I'm not over the top like everybody else. Hey, guys, he may only win one. If they don't get back this year, I'll say it now. He'll never win another Super Bowl.
If Tom Brady does not win on Sunday, is he done?
No.
Was this a one and done thing for him? I mean, look, you still have some stuff, but Mark, you mentioned it. Tampa Bay sold the farm to win right now. If they don't do it this year in year number one, is Tom Brady coming back to try this again?
Yes.
Yeah. He'll be back for at least one more year. That defense in Tampa Bay is too good. Their wide receivers are too good. And he's still got 1 or 2 more years and still a top 5 quarterback. So yeah, he will be back. And I don't think there's any pressure on the AFC side for either one of those teams. I think those teams are so young, so energetic that there's no pressure on them because they have that mentality that this is a start of something good that will be here for the next 10 years. All the pressure really is on the NFC. Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers has got 1 Super Bowl. Everybody claims Tom Brady is the best ever because he's got multiple Super Bowls. If Aaron Rodgers wins 1 more, and if people keep saying he's the best pure quarterback, best passer you've ever seen, the best at that position you've ever seen as a quarterback, as a player, if he wins 1 more, you take it a step further. Is he now a top 3 quarterback of all time if he wins 2?
That's a whole nother show, honestly. I really believe that. I think he would. Last question before we get going. A lot of coaching. The coaching carousel is moving fast. There's only a few more left. Mark, what would be your pick right now? If I give you any coaching position that's open right now, there's one in Houston. There's still one in Philadelphia. Where are you going? If I give you any pick anywhere, who are you coaching?
When I walk through the door at Houston and I say, "Who's my quarterback?"
It's not going to be Deshaun Watson.
You know, then they better look at me and tell me that I'm going to get 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third, and Tua besides out of Miami. I'll take that job.
Corey, if they moved, look, J.J. Watt is most likely done. He's going to get moved. Houston has said we don't want to trade Deshaun Watson, but that's a foregone conclusion. He's going to go. If they make the trade for Tua and get Tua from Miami over to Houston and they start rebuilding that, is that a job? Or remember, you've got Philly, who has still got Jalen Hurts. They still might have Carson Wentz because he's not been traded yet, although he may not end up there.
My head exploded. Jeez.
Do you take the Philly job with potential there?
Lots of
staying. Let me put it this way. I'm staying as a coordinator. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going to Houston. I'm not going to Detroit. I'm not going to Philadelphia. I wouldn't go to either one of those. I'd stay as a coordinator and wait for my next chance to come along. I just don't think any of those are good. But if I had to pick, I'd go to Philadelphia.
Corey, let me ask you this though. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But if you're Eric Bieniemy, who keeps getting talked about all the time, and Corey and I have this conversation, don't you have to take a head coaching job no matter where it's at?
No, you don't. If you're Eric Bieniemy, you don't have to take just because it's open. No, you're too good for that. You're not one of these guys who, I have to take it. It's my first chance. It's my first job. You will get other opportunities to coach. You don't have to take that. You're arguably the best offensive coordinator in the game. You've got a Super Bowl. You've got a great resume. You wait for your job. It should have been San Diego. San Diego should have waited for Eric Bieniemy with a quarterback like Justin Herbert and given him the job after they win the Super Bowl or go to it, whatever. He should be the coach of San Diego. And yes, I know this the Chargers are in LA, but I'm going to say San Diego.
And I said that Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, should have taken that job. He did not. And Mark, he said the same thing. I'm staying here in Buffalo. I'm going to re-sign for one more year. We have things to do. And they believe in this team in Buffalo. So now, as a Buffalo fan, I'm cheering because I figured Daboll for sure was going to get hired for the San Diego Chargers job. And yes, I'm with you, San Diego Chargers. Okay, he didn't, and then they made that what I called was a panic button hire down in San Diego. But look, if you're Eric Bieniemy, if you're Brian Daboll, you're these guys that are really good offensive coordinators. I'm with Corey, man. Look, I'm going to be able to write my own check soon and pick a team that I want to go to that's kind of set up with what I have now. That's why I love Brian Daboll going to, or Bieniemy going down to San Diego with Justin Herbert. You've got a second-year quarterback who is a stud of a guy. Wrap your coordination, wrap your program around that new quarterback.
Let's put it this way. Josh Allen coming out of college was a cross between Jake Locker and Brett Favre, okay? And it was closer to Jake Locker's end.
Yes.
When you saw, I watched him play many times in Wyoming.
Yep.
What he's done in Buffalo with Josh Allen, the way he's progressed, my goodness.
And how fast he's done it.
Yes.
Look, we all knew Josh Allen was athletic, big, tall kid, 6'6", 6'7", big kid, and a can of an arm. But he's kind of molded him now into this guy who he can sit in the pocket if he wants. He can run if he wants. He can hit guys in stride with a missile if he wants. He has molded him. And what's impressive to me is he's done it so fast with Josh Allen.
And I'm following Deshaun Watson for wherever he goes. Like Mark said, Deshaun Watson, Mark knows how I feel about Deshaun Watson. He's one of the top 3 college quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion. And he's one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL.
Agreed. Guys, we're out of time. Thank you so much. Mark Pavlovich, Corey Nalen, SportsNetUSA.net. You can hear these guys every other Thursday on the show that is on YouTube as well. Guys, stick around just for a second because we'll talk more off the air in just a second. But until then, remember, this weekend, the 23rd, from 3 to 4 at Mountain Mike's Pizza, Poirier McGregor. We're going to get you ready for that. You guys be good humans. We'll see you next time.